Right, for this demonstration I'm going to show you how to solder the wand. So what you're going to need is 20 centimetres of the thick wire, 20 centimetres of the tinned wire as well, from these two rolls here. And you're going to need a copper pipe to bend the wand round and a small piece of heat shrink. So, first of all, take the piece of tinned wire and shape it around the copper tube. What you want to try and do is make a wand that's going to go around the steady hand game. So it can either be a pea shape like that, or if you wanted to, you could bend it round so it's symmetrical. It makes more of a loop like that. Now what we've got to do now is solder the loop together. So make sure what you can do is you just push the wire past it, and the springiness will bring it back so it just touches onto it like that. It makes a nice join there. Put it in the helping hand like that. Get some solder and a soldering iron. Heat it from underneath. Make sure you heat both bits of the metal. This is still going to be hot, so be careful you don't touch it after you've done it. But that means that that'll be permanently joined together and you won't be able to cheat. See that on both sides like that. Now what we need to do is take the wire, strip 1 centimetre off one end, and about ½ centimetre off the other end. Those are the wires together. The end with a centimetre stripped, this is the end we're going to use to attach to the wand. So take your wand and wrap the wire around it nice and neat if you can, and have it so it looks a bit like that. And put it back in the helping hand. Make sure it doesn't fall off. And again, heat it underneath using the soldering iron. Try and make it sit nice and flat on the piece of metal, so we can slide the heat shrink over it later. So you might need it on for about 5 or 6 seconds before it gets hot enough to melt. But once it starts to melt, it should melt quite easily. Don't put too much on or you won't fit the heat shrink over it. And let it cool for a couple of about 30 seconds or so. And then once it's cooled, this is going to be quite tricky to do, so be careful with this, and it still might be a little bit hot. So twist the heat shrink as well as pushing it at the same time, and you find that sometimes goes over a bit easier. Try and get it to go over as much of the joint as you can, like that, make it nice and neat. And then to shrink the heat shrink, don't touch it with the soldering iron, just place the soldering iron underneath it. And there's not much shrinking it can do because the wire's quite thick. And as it starts to shrink, gradually move it along. That's it finished, and the other end of the wire needs to be soldered onto your circuit board. Push through the support hole first. If you need to make the support hole a bit bigger, just drill it out using a 3mm drill.